Okay, so I was saying my name is Thomas Saraldi, work at Fitbit on the developer platform. Super excited to see many familiar faces tonight. I've seen many of you in a previous era, and that's great. Super excited to see new faces too, and see people who are excited about what they can do on Fitbit devices. This is really a new and exciting time for us. So thanks for joining us on this first Northern California Fitbit Developer Meetup. There'll be many more, and we'll get started. We have a lot of things we want to talk about tonight, and the first thing I wanted to talk about is the community. We're meeting here today to try to get all of us together to talk about the things we love to do, but it doesn't have to stop when you leave. We have the Made for Fitbit hashtag on Twitter, which has been extremely popular for people to post their clock faces and apps that they're working on. So if you ever build something, please post it, share it on Twitter. It's really cool to see all the ideas getting exchanged and feedback being exchanged as well. We also have a Discord server where developers meet, ask questions, and work together. So if you are alone at 3 o'clock in the morning and you have a question, you are not alone, and there's someone on Discord to help you 24/7. So that's yeah, and John is back there. and we also have a community forum. So if you go to dev.fitbit.com, and we're going to try to repeat that many times tonight, dev.fitbit.com is your resource for anything Fitbit developer related. So tonight, I'll start by giving a quick introduction to Ionic. We figured that this is the first time we're doing this. Some of you are probably not familiar with the product. And before we talk about all the new features that as developers we're going to add on the platform, just understanding basically what the product does is probably a good idea. So I'll give you a quick overview of Fitbit Ionic so you understand what it does, how it compares to other products, and that will give you a good solid base. Then I'm going to ask John and Fred, who are our developer advocate, to give more technical demos and actually show you how to build with Fred a clock face, and you'll see that it doesn't have to take 2 hours. And then with John, we'll show you how to connect your clock face to the internet. And again, you'll see that this can be done really quickly. The goal is just to give you a feel for what it's like to program on Ionic. And then we have those computers and watches in the back. And those are also here for you to play with so that you can get a feel for what it's like to build content on Ionic. And then at the end of the meetup, we're going to save space for lightning talks. So if you have built something on Ionic, can you raise your hand now if you've played with Ionic, build a clock face or something like that? I see a few hands in the room, a few hands over there in the back. Cool. So if you guys could come up and share with everyone what you've built, that'd be really awesome, so that people also get to hear from you what's your experience building on Ionic, and then show what you've built. So that's our agenda for tonight, and then we'll save time for beer, food, and just talking to each other, because that's mostly why we're here. So let's talk about Ionic. So Ionic is the first smartwatch designed completely in-house by Fitbit. We did the industrial design, electronic design, software design, of course, but this means that for us it's a big step forward in the world of a smartwatch. You may be familiar with other products like Blaze, which were in between a tracker that just counts your step and a smartwatch. Ionic is really our first true smartwatch, and we're very excited to show this product, and also very proud of it, going from the industrial design that you can see here, which is available in 3 different colors. So we have burnt orange, slate gray, and light gray. Those are the 3 colors that are available. For those 3 colors, we also have 3 different bands that come in the box, and then our customers can purchase other bands from leather band to sports band that are available through the same channels. And if you go on Amazon, you can also find a bunch of other bands that can work with Ionic. Ionic is also packed with sensors. So on the back here, you see the heart rate sensor. It's maybe the one that's the most visible. It has this cool little green LED. It's a pretty advanced sensor, our most advanced heart rate sensor so far, with the ability to measure your heart rate, but also to track variation of your oxygen levels throughout the day, which is something that we're using right now to study new features that we'll be able to bring in the near future. So as developers right now, you get access to all of the sensors, including heart rate, but not yet the related SpO2 feature. That might be the #1 question I get, so I'm going to answer it right now. Yes? Related SpO2, yes. So I forgot to say that if you don't know what PPG and SpO2 are, you probably don't need them. Those are mostly the raw data that we're using to calculate the heart rate or to study your heart rate signal to build more medical and health-related feature on top of that. So people who are interested in this are mostly researchers building medical apps and that kind of use case. Yes? When will the SpO2 be available? So to developers, I don't have an answer yet to that question. It will be something that we're looking at making available, but we're not communicating a date yet for that. If you're interested in those sensors, I strongly encourage you to come talk to me because we'd love to understand why you're interested in those sensors. Understanding your use case will help us define how we should make it available, and the more requests we get, obviously, the more this becomes important to us. So industrial design, and then of course it's a Fitbit product, so it gets a lot of the Fitbit features that our users love. And some of you are probably coming from the Fitbit family, you're very familiar to Fitbit products. Some of you are not, so just wanted to remind you of some of the key features of those Fitbit trackers. So first of all, it's going to track your heart rate continuously 24/7. That's important because that allows us to measure your resting heart rate, which is a really good proxy for how fit you are and how more fit you're getting through the exercise and training that you might be doing during the week. It's also very important because through your continuous heart rate monitoring during your sleep, we can figure out what sleep stage you're in and actually give you really interesting insights about your sleep patterns and how well you're sleeping or not. So those are some key features that our user love. We have a built-in, yes?
Can it do heart rate variability?
So yes, we can measure heart rate variability. It's also a variable data point that we're not making available in the SDK right now. That's another good question. So heart rate variability, HRV, like PPG, like SpO2, is something that's mostly interesting to researchers and people that are trying to build new features around that. The most known use case, I think, is using it as a proxy for stress, for those of you who are not familiar with that. Fitbit Ionic also has a built-in GPS, which means you can go for a run, you don't need to take your phone, you'll be able to track your entire run or your entire bike ride. You'll get accurate speed, position, pace, if you like that instead of speed. And that's something that's available to developers. So as a developer, you can turn on the GPS that's on the device, or you can use the GPS that's on the phone. So, we have a personal coach feature, which does already allow our users to do exercise guided with pictures. So for people that are trying to practice, for example, I forget the name, but or just to do the 7-minute workout, for example, you can follow on your watch and do the 7-minute workout guided with instructions directly on the watch. And Ionic, of course, is water resistant, so you can use it swimming in a swimming pool. You can track laps in the pool, detect when you reach the end of the pool, and start coming back. We say it's water resistant to 50 meters, which means that you can use it for swimming in the pool, you can use it in open water, in the ocean, you can use it for any kind of nautical activity. We do not recommend taking Ionic diving, so that is the limit. Beyond the fitness features, we have the Fitbit features that people really love. So one that's really, really important and dear to my heart is the battery life. 4 days battery life means that you do not need to recharge the product every night. But it also means that you can wear it while you're sleeping, and that is what enables all the sleep feature. That's a very important aspect of Ionic. It will automatically track your steps. Of course, I haven't even mentioned it, but it's really the most basic feature of a Fitbit product. And beyond steps, it will also detect when you start running, when you start a bike ride, and automatically turn on the GPS if you ask Ionic to track run and bike ride with GPS. So those are features that are built in. I've talked about sleep stages. And another feature that maybe is not as well known is the social network. Fitbit is the biggest social network dedicated to fitness. So when you're in the Fitbit app, you can go in the social tab and see people by groups, so yoga, losing weight, bike riding, mountain bike riding, getting together, exchanging tips, sharing their recent exercise, and being able to give feedback to each other. And that is something that is available to developers via the Fitbit Web API. So you can post on that social network in the name of the user, you can share exercises, and you could even share an app that you've built with a group of people that really care about that specific topic. And last but not least, Fitbit is compatible with all three major mobile platforms, so iOS, Android, and Windows Phone. So all of the features that we talk here, the apps that you may build, will all work on those three platforms. So that's pretty exciting for a lot of users. So I said Ionic is our first smartwatch, so we're adding some smart features to that. The first smart feature that you may not be aware of is that Ionic can play music. You can store music directly on the device. We actually have a pretty significant storage there. And you can play music directly from that storage through a Bluetooth headset. If you have a Pandora account, you can also store cache music on the device. And same thing, go for a run without your phone and have music while you're on the go, powered by a Pandora playlist. You can pay with your Ionic, so you can put your credit card directly in the watch and use it for contactless payment. It works everywhere where Apple Pay and Android Pay and Samsung Pay are supported, so same principles and same kind of movement. It will show all your notification, which is really an essential feature on the smartwatch. And of course we have apps, and that's where I stop talking about the general feature and we get into the stuff that you really came for tonight. So what types of apps? The apps that are supported on Ionic are clock faces and then general apps that live in the principal menu. We think that apps on Ionic are really bringing personalization to the user. Compared to a device like Blaze, which was the same for all of our users and behaved the same way or offered the same feature for all of our users, clock faces, especially coming from the third-party community, and apps coming from a lot of different developers, allow our users to really customize the product, and instead of just having a generic experience, they get to enjoy something that they customize to their specific type of activity that they like to do, and style and clothing, and get to change them really often. And coming from the Pebble world, we saw that people love to change their clock faces every week and come back to the store to just see what's new and just change it because they just enjoy showing a new sexy clock face to their friend. So that is all possible with Ionic, and I'm not going to go into the details because my colleagues are going to talk more about that. So this is some example of content created by the community, things that have been shared already with the Made for Fitbit hashtag on Twitter. So you can see that people are already getting really creative. The one at the bottom is showing tides, really useful for people who like water activity in the Bay Area. But one message that I want to push, and we'll repeat that too a few times, is that the opportunity you get with Ionic is to reach a community of people who are really passionate about technology and fitness. And so the people who buy a smartwatch, like the Fitbit Ionic, are people who really care about their health and being fit, and they're either trying to lose weight, or they're trying to train for a marathon, or an ultra marathon, or a triathlon. And so as a developer, you get the opportunity to build content that will be relevant to those people and to really reach that community of people that are passionate about health and fitness. And so you'll see that through the APIs that we make available, through the challenges that we're going to do, we're going to encourage you to work in this area because we really feel like this is where Ionic is going to make the biggest difference for our users and where the developer community has the most potential. So that's something that we'll talk about again. So that's my general introduction to the watch. We announced yesterday our Made for Fitbit challenge. If you haven't got the email, I strongly encourage you to subscribe to our developer mailing list on dev.fitbit.com. You can read more about that challenge at dev.fitbit.com/blog. Basically what we're doing is launching a competition to encourage developers to play with the SDK and build more content. We have 3 categories. The first one is going to be around health and wellness. The second one is going to be around sport and fitness. And the third one is going to be around transportation and local. And for each of those categories, we're going to pick 3 winners. We have some interesting prize with a significant Amazon gift card and other. You'll find the details on the blog post. And then we'll have 1 big champion at the end. So really, if you're thinking about building something, look at that challenge. We'd love to have you join, and this is going to go until the end of the year, so end of December. Cool. So now that we've talked about Ionic in general, we want to give you a quick introduction of how to get started building apps for Ionic. And for that, I have my friend Fred over there, who's going to do this little demonstration. So Fred, you ready?
Yeah. Good evening. So now you're going to have a different French accent. How's it going? Are you laughing about my accent or my joke? Which one? Both? Okay, it's a good answer. How's it going?
Great.
Great? Food is good? Drinks? Seriously? Not that good? Come on. Oh, okay. So my name is Frederick Harper. You can call me Fred. It's easier for Anglophone than say Frederick. So I'm new at Fitbit. Actually, this is my first week, and I would say this is my second day-ish. So I'm really happy to be with you here. I'm really excited about Fitbit, really excited about the Ionic. I'm a developer advocate with my partner, John. So basically, I'm going to be there to help developer being successful and bring feedback to the product team. So because I'm the new guy, I'm going to do like the small intro about the SDK. So basically, for those of you that did not have a chance to create application for the Ionic, it's really easy. So when you start to work with a new programming language, most of the time you have to install a lot of things. Even if you use things that like application that helps you with dependency, it's quite complicated sometimes. What is great with the SDK, everything is online. So no installation, you use your browser that you use day to day, you got access to the studio, and you got access to everything you need to build your application. For web developers, you already know how to build application. We are using web technology, and if you don't know web technology, it's kind of like not too bad to learn those programming language. So you're kind of good to go. And it's really easy to create clock faces and application. So you get access to the Fitbit Studio, you go on studio.fitbit.com. Everything is online. You kind of recognize that type of UI. Seems a little bit like Solid Text or Visual Studio Code. Really easy, straightforward. You get access to all the resources. You're able to code your application. You have access to the console. You have access to build messages. So if you screw up something, if you have an issue, when you're gonna build the application, you're gonna be able to see like any issues you have. So first technology, SVG, which is basically what you're gonna use. Like if you were building a web application, it's like the HTML part of it. So basically what you're gonna use to create the architecture, the UI of your application, it's web standard. So if you already use SVG in one of your application, either as a file or directly in line code, this is SVG. So my demo, really great, because I'm really not good when it comes to design, but you understand the pattern, you understand how to use those. Second thing, CSS. Again, not so good when it comes to design on my side, but still you understand. So you use CSS in your web application, website, you are using CSS to create Ionic application. Latest and the greatest. How many loves JavaScript here? Actually, yeah, good. No, you need to close yourself. You're a little bit crazy. No, actually, I love JavaScript. So We are basically using React JSX, but JavaScript. So basically, you use JavaScript to put all the logic in your application. So this is basically where the magic happens in your application. So again, beautiful demo, yellow square, interesting. When it comes to development, there's basically the foundation is basically in 3 parts. So there is the API that gives you access to some features of the smartwatch itself. So you have access to the different sensors, the GPS, some clocks, power settings. So there's a lot of great, interesting things in the API. You go into documentation, you're going to have everything you need to understand how to build those applications. But what is great also, what is different, I would say, is that it's not just about the watch. You know, on your smartphone, you have the Fitbit application. This is the companion app, and this is a way to connect your application to the Fitbit companion application. So this is where you're going to be, you're going to put, as an example, some settings for your application. So that's probably going to be a little more user-friendly for user to do this on their big screen. So as you can see right now with the default application, you're going to see stuff like changing the color of the clock face. So you can do this on the companion application. And you have access to some specific API for that part. And the third one is the greatest thing, is the internet. So we have web API. I won't go too deep on that things because John will show you a little bit how to use those. But basically web API were there before we released the SDK. And that's going to give you access to some information in the user's profile. Like as an example, sleep information. Obviously, there's security, there's protection. You need to have the right access, but John will show you how to use this. So basically, those are the 3 parts of the architecture of the platform right now. So we try to keep things simple to really help you to build application easily. So I'm going to show you the 2 hours demo about how to build a clock face. Are you ready? You got beer? Or a drink? Food? Okay. We're going to sleep here. We're going to sleep here tonight. So, some people are laughing like, he's joking or no. I need to work tomorrow. Yeah, I guess me too. So, I think it's a good thing. Okay, so you see the watch here? If I go back to the studio, so basically when you go on studio.fitbit.com, if you don't have an account, it's free, create one, you go there, you have access to a list of projects. So in my case, if I do new project, call this, give a name, Francisco, and I have different type of project. I can create something, an empty project, I can have a starter kit, which is kind of like boilerplate for Fitbit application. And in my case, I'm going to choose the digital clock. I'm going to create a project, and this is basically already a digital clock. So there is 3 folders. I would say the first one, the JavaScript, is where the magic happens. So I don't know if you've seen the back. I don't think it's the end of the world because it's like 5 lines of code. But basically what's happening is that I have untick event on my clock, and every time the clock is ticking, I call my function update clock, and I'm updating my label with the new time. And when I created my project, you just created a basic clock face with all that information. If I go to the UI file, it's the SVG. So right now, standard SVG, I have my CSS class, I have a text element with an ID, my label. And if I go to the CSS, again, where I can beautify my application, where I can like do some like really beautiful and cool stuff, right now it's really basic. And the latest file, which is a standard JSON file, when you open that file in the studio, you got that beautiful UI that gives you access to different permissions that you may want to request for your application. In the case of my clock face, I don't need all those things. I just display the time. So I don't need to choose those, but I can request access for like getting information about heart rate, location, or different access that I need to. So it's the same kind of principle where when you build application for mobile devices, like you want to be sure that there's some privacy setting there, and you're not getting information that the user don't want you to have access to. Here, I can build the application, actually it's more about minimizing stuff, doing some tree shaking, and we'll be ensured that we're going to be able to run this on the device. One of the first things I need to do is to take my smartwatch. I'm going to put the mic down. Not making noise. So,
like they're 10% of our user base.
on my watch, I need to go to settings, which is the latest icon here. I click there. If I scroll down, I'm going to have Developer Bridge, which is basically telling my watch connected to the Wi-Fi, connect to the Wi-Fi, and connect to the Developer Bridge. So the first time you connect the watch, it can take a little bit more time. And as you can see now, it's connected to the server. So if I go back to the studio, I can do refresh, and I'm going to see my device here. So right now I could also connect to the phone, but I don't need it for the clock face. And John will show you how. But in that case, I connect to the watch. And this is how the studio is connected to my device. So this is how I can run application on my device. This is how I'm going to be able to test what I have in my code. So if I click run, that's going to transfer the application to the device. And actually, if I go back to the clock face, that's going to be like a sexy, really nice clock face with a beautiful UI. Can I have a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you. So this is the boilerplate. This is kind of like the starter kit for clock face. What I could do in that case, I could decide to pimp a little bit my clock face. So let's go on my computer. If I decide to have a background, let's put Grumpy Cat in the background, if I can. Yeah, so I just need to transfer the file, and that's going to be added in my resource folder here. So if I go in my SVG, I'm going to put my image tag before. I have a French keyboard usually. Look like a 2 years old that tried to type on the keyboard. JPEG. So it basically had image element. I don't have to press build. I can just say run, and go back on the. Oh, okay. There we go. Nope, this one. There we go. So yeah, so really beautiful clock face. The idea here, as I told you, is not to create the most amazing clock face tonight. It's really to show you that, like, when you have a keyboard that you know how to use, it's really, really fast to create a clock face. So what is great with that thing is that tonight you have the opportunity to do it. We have that station in the back, and this is the opportunity for you to try it. And just to see that it's not some like demo magic thing that I've just done, like it's real, you can do it yourself, it's really quick. One thing to remember, we're going to be annoying about this tonight, but this is, if there is one thing you need to remember tonight, it's dev.fitbit.com. On that site, it's the developer portal. You got access to the documentation, some tutorials, you got access to some demo application, the forums, the studio, everything is there. You don't even have to remember studio.fitbit.com. Everything is at dev.fitbit.com. So don't forget the clock face development station in the back. And actually at that point, when it comes to the clock face, I think it's pretty amazing. Did you see yours? Is it yours?
Our friends.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. So within the first week, I should remove this one. So I didn't see it. So within the first week, a lot of people in the community build clock face. So it's really easy. It's real nice. And I'm going to change the slide. So, any question, comment, insult? Yes, you raise your hand, insult.
Oh, no question. But when you're developing, are you saving locally, or does it work like if you want to work collaboratively on a project, you have to use like GitHub or something to share that?
Actually, I don't think right now you can do this. What you can do is you can basically download your project. So right now, if you're thinking about collaboration, it's not something possible. To be totally honest, I have no idea. Maybe someone else who's been there more than 2 days can answer. Sorry? It's on the roadmap. So it's great. But right now, if you really want to make it happen, you can download your code, you can export your project. And basically, because this is SVG, JavaScript, and CSS, you would be able to use any IDE you want. It's just because at the end of the day, if you want to publish it on the watch, you need to go on studio.fitbit.com right now. Yes?
Do you guys have an iOS SDK so you can have an app that communicates with the watch?
Actually, there is no iOS SDK. Do you want to?
Yeah.
I think I will just take the question and ask Thomas to answer. Maybe.
Yes, so right now, if you want to communicate with the mobile app, you go through the cloud. So your cloud face or app will talk to a server in the cloud, which will relay the information to your app on iOS. Doing inter-app communication on iOS is extremely difficult. Just I'll put that there.
Can you use that as a library like Firebase?
You can use Firebase, you can use any kind of WebSocket, you can use HTTP, you have many options for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Firebase is not going to chew up your battery life?
No, because the question is Firebase going to chew up your battery life? So if you're using Firebase in that use case, you would be using Firebase on the phone. So we haven't talked too much about the global architecture yet, but when you have your app running on the device, it's talking to the phone, and on the phone you have a piece of JavaScript, which we call the companion, that does the proxy to the internet. And so your Firebase would be on the phone, where you have lots of memory, plenty of battery in your phone, and your phone is already having 1,000 WebSocket connection to the cloud anyway, so that's totally okay. Do you want to take another question?
Another question for me that Thomas can answer?
How can you work like on your projects into an IE and then connect it directly, not going through is there a way to do it?
Let me answer this.
No.
This is my answer.
So
Actually, right now, what you can do is just you cannot do this directly, as far as I know, but you can ask how to drag and drop your stuff in the studio. So it's not optimal for now, but I guess.
Tell you more about it.
Yeah, so right now you can work local if you want, drag and drop into Fitbit Studio. Just for information, there's no magic sauce behind Fitbit Studio. When you're clicking build on your project, everything actually happens in your browser. And so some smart people have started looking at what actually Fitbit Studio does, and could I do that outside of Fitbit Studio? And we're basically using technology that's very similar to Webpack to take your project, remove the dependencies, and just make one JavaScript file from all your source. And we do a little bit of resource processing as well. But so there's no technical limitation, but we decided to focus on the web-based experience to start with. And so this is what we recommend you use for now. Yeah?
You've developed a really great app for smartphones that has been classified for Fitbit. How complicated would it be to adapt, say, a smartphone application to your device?
Yeah, so question is how complicated is it to adapt a smartphone application to Ionic? Yeah. It's really hard for me to give you a generic answer. I can put my developer evangelist hat and say it's really easy, but without seeing your mobile app, I'd be lying a little bit. So we can talk about it. I think let's look at the features of your app, what it's doing, and then we can give you a more accurate answer. Yes.
How does the watch know if you're in the water or outside in the air?
How does the watch know if you're in the water? That's
My point is the heart rate different in the water?
Oh yes, great comments. Actually, so the watch can know that it's in the water because because of the touchscreen. So the touchscreen can tell when it's in the water, but also if it's not perfect, and so if you're going through a swim, for example, the UI will actually lock itself. The touchscreen will deactivate itself, and you'll use the button to start and stop your swim. And by the way, you'll notice that in every Fitbit exercise app, you can also stop and pause the exercise, because if you go for a very exciting run on a hot sunny day, you'll see that the buttons work a lot better than the touchscreen at the end of the run. So, and that's having buttons in that case is really super useful. So, and that's generic to touchscreen technology in general. Like you'll have the same problem on other devices. When you're in the water, heart rate is going to be less reliable. So if the user is wearing the watch tight and we're able to get a heart rate signal, we'll still give it to you. But you'll also get time where the user is wearing the watch in the water, but you will not get a heart rate measurement because the optical sensor technology is not really designed to work in the water. So it works well. It works if there's a really strong contact. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Yes. A lot more questions. Okay, let's start in the back and go forward. Yeah, that's you, sir. Is there a calendar inside the watch? No, but you can build one. Next question.
Is there any way to get some analytics or some historical analytics or how things will change when we see some feature? Or just simple analysis?
Okay, so question is there some way to get some analytics based on the data you get from the watch? So Fitbit gives you a lot of insights, so we'll tell you, how you slept, we'll tell you if your resting heart rate is going up or down over the course of a week, and there's a number of insights that Fitbit gives you, but we're, as much as we're trying to add more, maybe we're not answering the question that you're really concerned about. So two answers. One is you can use the SDK on the watch to collect data and then build your analytics platform yourself. And then number two is you can use the web API. You don't even have to build an app on the watch. You can use the web API to pull your own data, and that's available for free to all Fitbit users. You can get all the data, heart rate data and things like that we have. You can pull it from the web API. And so you can use that to build your own analytics on top of this. Cool. Maybe we should give away a few more watches. What do you think? So I think our social map. Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's give Fred a round of applause because they too.
I really had fun to answer the question. Thanks. Great question.
I know you're all thinking, no, we're not related.
I'm way more beautiful.
And I don't have a French accent. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I'm John Barlow. I'm a developer advocate. I've been working since Pebble acquisition. And I'm going to show you today, basically, you're going to work out whether I'm tired or not using the Fitbit web APIs and an Ionic. So I don't really have many slides. So I'm going to kind of do a kind of a live demo. Hopefully you'll be able to see the code samples from the back. But essentially what we've got is we're going to use the settings API to do OAuth authentication, really simply. We're using the Fitbit web APIs, but we can use any OAuth 2 service. It's really simple, code. We then have the companion, which runs within the Fitbit mobile application. And that code is going to make the actual fetch request to the internet. We're utilising the kind of capabilities of the phone, so its internet connection, its ability to process large amounts of data without having to do any of that on the device itself. And then we're going to use a series of images to display whether you think I'm tired or not, or whether Fitbit thinks I'm tired or not. Which I already know the answer. So. Oh.
So are you able to prompt the Fitbit to sync with the phone, or like is that not?
You can have kind of background all day syncing enabled anyway, but any kind of comms that you initiate from your app or from the companion can be done on a schedule. So I've got a project that I've kind of built already. And let's just try and make this a little bit bigger. So very similar to the structure of clock face that we just saw a moment ago. But in this situation, I've got an image already added to my project, which is the waiting image. And if we look in my resources images folder, I have this waiting image, which is a lioness there, just waiting. And these are the three states that we're going to use to determine based on the data from the server. So I have an awake image, that's me awake, and then a sleepy image, which is me not awake. I mean, I'm using images, but you can do text, you can do different UI, you know, this is just a very kind of crude basic example. So we have our image defined there, and it's got an ID. And then within our application.js, we're just going to look at. Can you see this all right? It's probably a bit small, but essentially what you have is we get a handle on our image by its ID, and then when we receive a message from the companion, we check the total amounts of minutes asleep, and if it's more than 300 minutes or 5 hours, then we show the awake image, and if it's less than 5 hours, we show the sleep image. So you can make a guess about which one is going to appear. For this application, I don't have any styling in this. There's just showing the images, so it's very basic. But here we have the settings API that we're using. So what we have defined here is the OAuth component. Don't steal my client ID and secret. I will delete those. I'm going to delete those as soon as this is finished. But essentially, you define your OAuth connection information in a declarative way, and then the settings page within the mobile application will render the OAuth component. It will give you a login button, and then just return you back with the access token. And then we have the companion code, which I'll come back to in a second. So in order to kind of install this application and run it, what we have to do is we have to enable the debug bridge, developer bridge. And we do that on the device, but we also do that on the mobile phone. So I'll just do the device first. Just to make, it's probably already enabled, but I'll just double check. No, it's not. So we're going to connect to the bridge. This takes a moment. And then we'll do a similar thing on the phone as well. So essentially it's a Fitbit application, which you will see the Fitbit application. And we enable the developer bridge. So you see that connecting. So now we see that the device is connected and the phone is connected. So what we need to do now is actually connect from Fitbit Studio. So now we see our phone and our Ionic. And once you have both the green light connections, then you're ready to go. So we're just going to hit run. And what that basically does is it makes an installation to the companion, and the settings get installed onto the mobile phone. and the application itself gets installed onto the Ionic. So we just flip back to the mobile phone. What you see now is the Am I Tired app has appeared in the list of applications that have been side-loaded from Studio. If I go into here, actually clicking here, we can see that the settings are included, and I can go into there and I will see my OAuth component, which I can click on to do the login. Now, depending on how you've whether you've already done this or not, which I have, it may or may not actually ask me to authorize, but essentially it would prompt you to log into your OAuth service, whether that's Fitbit or somebody else. And once that's done, we have the token that has been passed back, which we can use within our companion. So if we just take a quick look at the companion code, we have this fetch sleep data method, which essentially just gets the current date for today, and then calls fetch against one of the Fitbit web APIs, and we're looking at the sleep for the current user, which is me. And then we are just processing some of that data to minimize what gets returned, so we don't send back the whole data, we're just sending back the value we're interested in. And we take that total minutes of sleep and we send that back to the device using the peer socket connection. So if we actually, just flip over to the application. So we have the Am I Tired app, which uses this lovely fist logo. I've got a time on that. We launched the application. It shows our waiting state, which is the waiting lines. And then based on the number of minutes, it tells you that I didn't get very much sleep last night. So essentially it's done for the current user who's logged in, who's authorized. So if you're building like a configurable application, like something like the Strava app, you can authorize the user against Strava and then retrieve their data. But this has been done using the web API from Fitbit. So if we go back to the slides. What we have is we've used the Fitbit web API, the settings API to make it configurable, and you do the OAuth for us without anything really complex at all. And then we've used the companion APIs to do fetch, manipulation on the phone, and then the messaging API has been used to send that data down to the device, and then the device API, which runs on the actual watch itself, has all the processing already done for it, and just does the UI manipulation. So a complex application can be done quite easily with minimal code, some decorative stuff, and then just updating the UI on the device. Any questions? That was really quick, wasn't it? Yeah, sure.
Do you guys have like a microphone or something like that?
Like this one? On the device, it doesn't have a microphone in it.
Does it have any kind of movement or
Yeah, so we have accelerometer, orientation, gyroscope, heart rate sensor, so you can use a combination of all of those to create your applications. All of those are available within the device API. So the question is, can you use npm install to install anything? Not really. We will probably add package support within Studio at some point, but initially we're just focusing on your JavaScript files that you include in the project. Yeah?
Is there any connection like with healthcare and your insurance account? Is that
With the data, I mean, the health team are working with all kinds of providers, yeah, so I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but yeah, they do work with, I think the government as well are using Fitbit devices for all kinds of like preventative measures. And, yeah. There isn't an audio API yet. I say yet, which means there may be. No commitment, but yeah, there isn't at the moment.
If you access nutritional data, does it just look at what's on the phone, or will it check your online profile?
So there are a number of APIs on the device which give you access to steps and calories and things like that, and your goals. Other data you can query from the web API like I just did. Yeah. No, there's no NFC and no Bluetooth at this current time. Squirming here. I'm not sure. I mean, we're taking suggestions through the community forum. So there's a suggestion page. I would go there. There's an NFC thread already, which has a load of people who want to do stuff with NFC. So put your suggestion there, and hopefully it will help shape the future. Anybody else? Yeah.
Is there a thermal sensor at all on the watch?
There is not. No.
Does the watch have any sort of
Well, in terms of like accelerometer and orientation,
maybe have a thermometer in your body?
it would, it doesn't have Bluetooth direct to any of the devices other than the phone. So if you had a thermal sensor that was communicating with something else, then you could probably pull that data. Yeah.
Unrelated to this, how can you sell is there
Monetization for apps? I mean, we don't have a store, so you can't sell an application through our gallery. We have an app gallery which lists available applications. If you have a back-end service that people subscribe to, or you unlock functionality of an application through your own payment mechanism and your own services, then you can do it that way. Something like the Pandora application we have at the moment requires a subscription, so those sorts of things are valid. As soon as you start trying to charge for applications within the mobile app, then Apple aren't fans of having a store within a store, and there's all kinds of logic there and legal problems.
how did the Pandora guys access to the audio?
Good question. Partnership.
Spotify.
Oh, sorry?
Spotify.
No, Spotify have got their own kind of things with wearables and what they do with their data. So, anybody else? Is it good? Good. Thank you.
And now let's do a few lightning talks.
Okay, so we all saw Fred's demonstration earlier today, how quickly he could actually create a watch face with a background image. And yes, I have to agree, like Fitbit Studio is super slick and smooth, and it's actually pretty quick. But it took him, I don't know, like 3 minutes or something in order to get that image. And I think we can beat that. And in order to do that, I created a little app, and it's actually intended for designers. So I cannot speak for you, but when I'm exploring an idea, I start with an idea in my head and I scribble something, and then maybe I design it in Sketch or Illustrator or something. And then from there, you have to code it in order to see it. And I wanted to see it directly though. So for those of you who don't want to have a French keyboard, you can still have French flags here. So I took that from the examples. And this is really just an application you drag your image in. And if the demo gods are nice to me today, let me actually bring up the Fitbit app, because I heard if it's in the foreground, it's actually more efficient. If the demo gods are nice, then it should actually show up on the right-hand side here on my physical device, which you can see. So no, that doesn't happen. So let me restart that application. Maybe drag in another image. It can take a while because it's basically doing a relatively slow BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy transfer, and it happened actually, it worked earlier today when I arrived here, but it doesn't do it right now. Yeah, it's black by default, so like I can do that more manually going to launching it. It's would it help to restart the Fitbit companion app? Maybe, maybe not. Can I force quit it somehow? Okay, let me actually force quit that. Bring the Fitbit up in the foreground. Let me restart this. And then it still needs to transfer like about, there we are. Okay, so restarting the Fitbit app that was. So like, and I drag this new image here, French flag, and then a few seconds later actually, like 10 maybe, boom, and you have that image. So that's a general idea. If you are a designer and you want to have that tool, like I hacked that together actually to your question, I used Firebase for that. Very quickly, it doesn't have yet an authentication mechanism, so this is why I removed the URL. Whoever puts something there will send images to my watch. I still need to implement it to be like generally usable, but if you are interested in that, please come to me. My name is like Michael. I'm here, like a guy with a scarf. Approach me and let's exchange contact details, and then I'm happy to make this available. Cool. It's closed source at the moment. My experience was that Firebase on the companion app didn't work for me. I tried long polling instead of WebSockets. Maybe it did something wrong. So I ended up using also Cloud Functions and technically poll, which is not really efficient. And I'm happy to learn from the experts how I would do that better. But in general, I'm using like for the web front end and the synchronization. Like, do you have another second? So you can actually connect any web page as a receiver as well. And the idea is that it's basically a general purpose. I drop images and sync that tool. So whatever you have on the receiver end, that could be Fitbit's next tool with a different screen resolution. I don't really care. And then as long as you're dragging anything into this tool, it will actually sync over to this other tool. And my plan is actually to make it a general purpose tool because my company is also working on devices, and my designers in the company have the problem that they want to see something and iterate on design, so I figured that maybe people understand that. Cool. It's started closed source. Yes, it's on GitHub, but you won't see it.
Are you a mathematician?
Exactly. Something that I point out thanks to that demo is that in Fitbit Studio you get logs from both the mobile app, from both the app on the device and the companion. So if something goes wrong, we didn't have time to do that. We didn't need to do that here, but go in Fitbit Studio, you can see the logs, so you can see what's happening, and that's going to be super helpful when you're debugging issues. And then if you're in the field and something is not working, you can go in the Fitbit app, in the developer menu, the one that John showed you earlier, where he was showing you that he was able to launch the settings page from the developer menu. That's also how you remove an app that you've developed and installed via Fitbit Studio. Here you also have a button to access logs. So if you want to get logs from your companion, you can get it directly in the mobile app. If you're not connected to Fitbit Studio, that's another way to get logs that's super useful. So just pointing this out. We have another demo by Mitch here.
Hey everyone, so I'm Mitch. I probably have more slides than my clock face has photos, but it's just about how easy it is. So actually, Fitbit Ionic to me is like a perfect canvas because I'm an amateur photographer. I take a lot of photos. I have thousands of photos just sleeping on a hard drive that I'm not really doing anything with. And then, then there was Fitbit Ionic that has this really amazing screen to me that just basically is rendering my photos really well. So I thought, why not make a clock face? I just had finished Zelda. And I wasn't feeling sleepy yet. I had a few hours left. So I thought, like, why not make a clock face? So yeah, I was thinking I had a lot. So every time, so you can hear I'm like the third French accent of the night. So every time I have visitors from Europe coming, I take them whale watching because to me that's like the unique California experience. And so I have a lot of whale watching photos, really a lot. So yeah, I thought like why not combine those into like a clock face or watch face or whatever you call it. So basically here you see the different stages of a whale breaching out of the water in Monterey. So yeah, basically my watch face, it's just whales. And it evolves in function of your step goal. So the closer you get to your step goal, the more photos you're going to see of that whale breaching. And actually, if you go 1.5 times your step goal, you're going to see like a splash, which is like the last frame of the whale's breach. So yeah, for me, like there were a couple of challenges because I had different photos, but yeah, you need to align them the same way if you want to use them. Well, it depends on how you actually write your code, but the way that I wrote mine was just I had 2 templates, and so based on the template, I had the horizon at a different spot, so I knew exactly where to place the time. So yeah, I went with 2 alignments. So one was like 1/3, and the other was 2/3. And also, like one of the things that I was looking at when I was looking at my different photos was like I need to have like a special kind of color tone for the time that remains the same across all photos. So that was fun. So yeah, in the end I had 2 buckets of photos. So I have one bucket that's like 1/3 and the other is 2/3. It's not exactly mathematically correct if you look at the photos, but using guides in Photoshop, it's actually kind of really easy to resize your photo and have it in a way that you're like, okay, this will actually fit really well on my Ionic. And yeah, so my slides contain code. But in a nutshell, getting to user activity is actually really easy. So you just need to import those 2 things. So I have step goals, and I also have today's information. So how many steps did I do today? Like where am I at, and where am I at towards my step goal? And then I define kind of an array of photos, and also like a constant that's telling me how many photos do I have. And for each photo, I kind of define just like what template do I want to use. So yeah, really easy. And in the end, so I kind of got the index. So out of the 8 photos I got, I was just thinking like which photos should I be picking? And so it's basically based on today's steps, your step goal, and the amount of photos there is. Some number is going to come out of there, and that is the number. That's the number of the photo that you just want to show. So it's really easy. Of course, you need to think about edge cases. What if I have 1,000,000 steps? Which is why I actually added this function math.min, which will avoid us having, like just a crash in my cloud face, which would not look nice. So yeah, this is really, you can always feel free to hit me up tonight. I can tell you a lot more about this watch face. This is one of the photos I took with it. And you can also find me on Twitter if you have questions. So yeah, feel free to add me and hit me up. I'll get back to you. There you go.
You can count. Do you have something you want to show? Okay.
I don't want to show it, but
Do it.
the dog sounds kind of interesting.
What have you built?
It's kind of.
So I like games. We used to have someone awesome named Ryan Case. He made Tetris. I like block games, but he took the Tetris. I know someone else in Fitbit made like a top-down shooter. I decided, well, I have this gotcha game, I don't know, called Fire Emblem. What's wrong with the kind of... We're waiting for Thomas to fix the camera. I decided to do Fire Emblem. It's a tactical game. Yeah, so like we have soldiers on the ground, and it's a little slow, but I can move them around. And this enemy soldier, hello, come on, fight her, please. Yes, that's the teal. It's a little subtle, but that means she can attack her, and she took half her health. And if I continue to see bugs, so I don't really want to do that. I mean, I'll just push around. So I mean, using JavaScript is interesting. Maybe I'll give some pointers. Right now, I'm using a breadth first search, which is I don't like that. I mean, I have to push stuff into an array. And what am I pushing? Like this breadth first, I want to call a function, so I'm pushing an array into an array. That's pretty bad. I think I might. Basically, you probably want to try to use as little objects as possible. I mean, that sounds crazy because JavaScript is all about objects. But if you can, I don't know, you can do bit manipulation on doubles. I mean, that's insane because they're doubles. But if you can manage to fit all the information you need in double, that might speed it up. I haven't tried it yet. That's the next optimization I want to make. That's pretty much. I don't know, Fire Emblem. I like Fire Emblem. I don't know if any of you play it.
Yeah. You have a question. You might get something for a question. The question better be good.
As developers, are other developers code available to us to see? I know it comes on Fitbit, obviously.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question is, as a developer, can I see other people code? So by default, Fitbit does not share your code. Your code belongs to you. Sleep tight. But yeah, there's a lot of developers that are sharing code. So if you go on the forums, there's a lot of people sharing code. On Discord, there's like tons of snippets of code that have been shared to do lots of different stuff. John, I don't remember what's the URL to log into the Discord server. It's on the forum. So if you go on the forum and you search Discord, you'll find it. It's not an official Fitbit server. Someone from the community started it, and we just relay the information because it's really cool to have everyone in one place and be able to talk real time. So let's give this guy another. Is Teal okay with you, or yeah? Okay, cool. Congratulations. Any other question? Last minute comment? Yes. Can you get one? Okay, so we're gonna make this easy. If you want one, come talk to this guy. He has some stock. Talk to us. We have the room for another hour. Thank you very much for coming. It was awesome to see so many people for this first meetup, and we'll have more. So yeah, thanks, and we hope you enjoyed it.